Hey everyone, we got here this morning and they've moved the boat, which is fantastic news.
Whoa, slow down, Dad. That's next week's episode. In this week's episode, we stripped down the winches we removed a couple weeks ago.
I'm Andy.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jack.
And together we're working on restoring our sailing yacht.
Some of you might think we're crazy taking on the challenge of restoring this boat and creating a life less ordinary.
And we're sure there will be blood, sweat and tears, but it'll all be worth it when we embark on our epic adventure around the world.
Winches! Winches. We've got 3 winches here that have come off our boat.
Yep.
We have got a massive one, an Enkes, that's E-N-K-E-S. What's that? AR-22. We've got a Lewmar 16. And we've got a Gibb 7. Okay, so what do they think the numbers mean, Jack?
I don't know. Size.
Right. The numbers mean how much extra force is applied. So 22 means if you put 1 kilogram of force with your arm into this, it multiplies it by 22. So you get 22 kilograms of force.
I understand.
16 times, 7 times. So they're, yeah, exactly.
So that one, if you push it around like 1 kilogram, you'll like multiply it by 16?
By 7. By 7, that one. Okay, so we're going to take apart these 3 winches today. These are our main sheet winches. They're 22s. Hoping at some point to get some bigger ones, if anybody knows of any or has got any they're chucking away or anything like that. 16, that'll probably go on our coach roof for our halyards next to the deck clutches. And that one is just being used for our roller reefing on the Genoa. That one I'd like to get rid of if we can, because it is a little bit small for purpose. But let's talk about how to get these 3 winches apart. So, cool. Let's put these ones to one side. We're going to start with the smallest one and the simplest one. And the first thing that we're going to do is look at this, Jack. Now, have a look. Round the top of this, there is a spring, which is called a circlip. And the way to get it apart is...
Push it.
Something to lever it out like this. Okay. And can you see how that's now peeling off? And I'm keeping a real steady hold on it to make sure it doesn't ping off across the room.
Yeah.
And there is our circlip spring.
Or something?
Yeah, exactly. So that's our circlip spring. It looks like a washer, but it isn't. It's actually spring steel.
It also looks like one of those things that you put on your key to hold them.
Does it? Now this, I'm a little bit worried about this. This is the self-tailer on this winch, and can you see how it's gone pink? That means that the zinc is going out of that brass, so I'm going to try and replace that. But I need to move it out of the way so that we can get the top off. See how I did that with a pair of pipe spanners? Probably not the best tool for it, but now look, you can lift that off, Jack. Lift the top off, the whole thing. Lift it up. Let's see if that'll... There you go, keep going. There we are, lovely. Now inside there, whoops-a-daisy, we've got 2 pawls. They're called pawls and they spring into place. And those springs, as we've seen in one of our earlier episodes, if you take them out they can ping off across the room, but they've got good springs on at the moment. Now, what I've sprayed in here for now, we're going to put these back on the boat next spring, and what we've put in them, or something like that when they're ready. But I'm going to put proper winch grease in there for now. But for now, just to service them, I've just put some white PTFE grease, which is absolutely fine. One of the issues that people get wrong with winches is they over grease them. You only need a very light amount.
Yeah.
But can you see how that winch now is turning lovely? And it's nice and smooth. Oh, it was fine actually. This one wasn't too bad.
What about the others?
Well, we'll come on to them. So there's pawls in the bottom, look, that engage in this sprocket, in this cog, and there's pawls at the top. So I'll pop that back on.
So the rope goes on there, or?
It does when we've got it back together. Let's just let's just put this winch back together. I'm just going to prise that apart like that, and the same the other side. Where are we? Oh, we're in the wrong place there. There we go. And then this will push down, and now watch. Can you see how that works?
Perfectly.
Now watch, if we go really in close now, when I turn this, see how the cog will turn that way, but turning it back, it grips. So it's a very, very simple winch mechanism, this. So that's your Gibb 7, and if anybody's wondering how to get them apart, it's dead simple. It's just the circlip round the top. So I'm going to pop that back on.
Yeah, and just...
without losing the circlip.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to the
Or it's
next
springing across the room, whacking someone in the face.
Exactly. So that's number 1. That's the Gibb. And we can put that back into position. But I'm not liking this at all. I might replace that with a piece of stainless, or I might replace the winch.
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2, Lewmar.
Lewmar.
This is a Lewmar 16. So Lewmar, well recognised, well regarded brand. Get us a crosshead for a Phillips screwdriver, Jack. Thank you. Excellent. Well done. You don't have to push down quite hard. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Go the other way. No, other way. That's it. Anti-clockwise. Very good.
I think it's the same on the other screws.
Very good. That's it. Pull that one out. Put it to one side. Whenever I'm working on something like this, I tend to work on a towel or a piece of carpet, and that stems back from making and repairing guitars and radar controlled aeroplanes and quadcopters or anything like that, because when you drop screws onto a surface like this, they don't bounce and they stay more or less where they are, but a light coloured piece of carpet or toweling on the table is a really good idea. Stop stuff bouncing onto the floor, which we all know is a big pain. Easier in a workshop like this, of course, than it is on the boat. Not sure if you can hear the rain on the roof, by the way, guys, but apologies for that. That's the joys of living in Wales again. It's a
nice place, but it's also very rainy.
It's very rainy. Very rainy, but hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. So
That's fair enough.
So you've got all 4 screws out the top there, Jack. That's really good. Now,
least
don't rush this next bit, because this is where we can go wrong. So lift off that top cap. That top cap is purely plastic. It's just ornamental. It's not structural.
Bronze?
Brass actually, but good. Now to get these out, it's dead simple. So to get these out, these have been apart already, so it'll be dead easy, but you just literally pull them out sideways. Sometimes you have to prise them out with a screwdriver. So can you see how in here, look, Jack, in the top, there's a groove and a groove. And when these go in, they have to go in really nice and neat like that.
Tight.
Yeah. So they're good. Now next, we take off...
Some more screws.
No, don't need those. So hang on. What we're going to do now is we're going to take off the drum and the furler at the same time, because on this one the furler is mounted to the spindle, not to the side plates. So we're going to lift the whole of this off, but we're going to do it super careful. So we're going to lift it up just enough to get the furler off, and then we're going to take the furler and put it there. Now if you look, there's 3 more screws here. We don't need to take those off. The only reason to take these 3 screws out are if your furler ring is broken. You don't need to take them out, and the same with the feeder. You don't need to take that out. So we'll lift that up. Again, we're being very careful here.
What's this?
Not to lose... What's what, sorry? That is just to feed the rope onto
Ball
the...
bearings.
Yeah, so this is really nice. So when I took this apart originally, you can probably see... When I took this apart originally, like an idiot, I took the furling ring off and I lost some of the pull springs that you can see down there. They're £6 for a packet from eBay, so I'm not remotely concerned about that. So this has been apart now. It's nice and clean. Those are pin bearings, good roller bearings. Yeah, you can take those off and have a look at them. So they're stainless steel bearings in a plastic cradle. I was expecting them to be all ruined, but they're not. They're lovely.
Yep, very nice.
Very nice. So they drop
Perfect
on there.
condition.
And with this one, watch how beautiful that works. So this is a single speed winch, and what happens in the end is this cog here engages with the cog in the bottom of the drum.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
What,
really
the ball
nice.
The
The bearings are just simply so that the drum turns nicely on the spindle. Okay, and again, when we come to do this, we'll give it a good clean. It's in great condition anyway, but we'll give it a good clean, and then we'll use some proper winch grease. Although bicycle chain grease is as good as anything as well. It's really, really nice to use. Slightly. Another reason to have a towel on the what's it. So I'm going to pop these down, and again, what I'll have to do is just, oh, they've sat into place lovely. So that now works beautifully. We can lift it up very slightly, put the tailor into position, oops, daisy, and drop the whole lot down. Great.
Then put that in.
Yeah, really good. Well done. Now make sure that the holes in the tailor are lining up with the holes in the brass shim.
Okay.
Retaining shim. Good. Now I think that one could do with being the other way up. I'm only, the way I'm dictating that is because I'm looking at the markings on the brass from where the screws were before. So that one was actually the right way up.
Oh.
So there we go, 1, 2, and we've got to get the screws into the 4 holes. So we do that. Do you not like the grease on your fingers?
It's alright, it's just a...
It's slightly annoying.
Yeah, slightly slippery.
And this is a little bit more tricky. So I'll get that into there. There we are, 1. Here you go, Jack. 2. Go, Jack, Kojak.
So?
Go, Jack, Kojak.
Okay.
You don't remember Kojak. You've got better hair than Kojak.
It's Kojak.
I'll show you some Kojak afterwards on telly. That'll do. So a little tip when you're tightening up bolts like this on a surface, rather than tighten that one up really, really tight to begin with, just get them all down to more or less the same level before you tighten them all up, because what can happen is if you push this corner down really hard, it can cause the top to warp. It's the same thing that you do if you're changing the cylinder head on a car or an engine. You tighten the bolts up just down finger tight, as it were, and then wait to go round and do them all to set tensions, you know, after
Am I
that.
taking this out or
Putting it in.
putting it in?
No, you're putting it in. Right, it's not engaged properly. There we go. See what I mean? So I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm just going to go down until it's touching. Same with this one.
Okay.
And then that's an old flathead screwdriver that I just use for prizing things. Right, so now they're all down. It's not the right size head actually, but now they're all down. It's all right, carry on. You can use, I think that's probably going to be a better, there we go. Use that one now to tighten them all up.
Tiny.
You've already done that one. So now go opposite. So hang on, before you go on to that one, go opposite first.
Which way? That way?
Yeah, that way. It's not that critical in this application, but it's good practice to go opposites when you're doing things like this, because it stops it warping the top. Excellent. That'll do. And then the next one. These are going to come apart and be serviced again before they go on the boat, so we're just making sure that they're... There we go, that's a beast. Now this is a different type of winch entirely. This is the final winch we're going to look at today, an Enkes AR22S. I think they're Danish made. I don't think they make them anymore, but they're very high quality winches. No need to replace these at all, they're super. A little bit small perhaps for what we need, but still really handy. So totally different way of taking these apart. You've got 4 screws in the top, they do not need to come off. Let's have a look at this.
It looks like they're already off.
No. First thing you need to do is undo this bolt with an 8mm spanner.
It's tiny.
Go on, pull it all the way down. No, you're okay where you are.
Okay.
Pull it all the way down. Okay, and high speed footage. whole thing and take this furling ring off. Watch.
It's so like
Yeah.
that one.
So when I lift this up, you can take the tailing ring rather. There you go. Off. Great. So that's the tailing ring. It's not actually. I think that's chrome plated bronze or brass. It's. I don't think it's stainless, but there we go. And you can see the inside. Next thing, the drum comes off. You don't need to take these 4 bolts off again unless you're changing the stripping ring, the furling ring rather. There we go. Look at that. Similar sort of mechanism to our other one. We've got the drive cog on the inside of the drum here, which engages with this bottom cog here.
Right, there's a lot more grease on here.
Well, there's a little bit, yeah, but this again is just to hold it. We're going to strip this down before it goes back on the boat, re-grease it. So you can see the bearings again are here.
A bit harder.
Yeah, they're stuck on slightly. They do come off. I have had them off and I'm not going to fiddle around with them too much today. But this is a 2-speed winch, so when you turn it one way, this cog turns clockwise relative to me, and when I turn it the other way, it still turns.
But anti-clockwise. But that one goes clockwise.
That's right. So that's the drive ring. Yeah. So that's the drive ring. This one. So this way, that turns clockwise, and that way it turns clockwise but faster. So we've got low gear, high gear, low gear, high gear. Do you see? So that you can get loads of speed or loads of power. A little bit like what?
Miniature, well, not really, but a little tiny hand.
Oh, I thought you said a little bit like a ninja.
Engine.
Like a bit like an engine. Yeah, it's got 2 gears in it basically. I'm going to pop these back together. That one just goes on like this. Look at that. I haven't got a winch handle out here.
Jeremy Clarkson camera.
There we go. But that shows how nicely they're working because I can turn it with my finger. So I'll lift this up. You put the ring back on, up to there. And what you've got to make sure is that this tooth is in the groove.
Down.
Got to be in the groove, Jack.
In the groove.
In the groove. There you go. And then when we tighten this up, what I don't want is the tooth in the stripping ring so low down that it catches on the inside of the ring, but I also don't want it so high up that it catches. So I'm going to position it just in the middle, tighten this up nice and tight. Again, possibly another bit of high speed here. So we've got 2 of these winches for our main sheets. I will say when we took these off, one of them came apart easily, the other one was an absolute nightmare. And our friend Paul has got an ultrasonic cleaner and spent a couple of days getting it apart for me, which so thanks very much, Paul, really appreciate that. And we also had a lot of good advice off the Facebook groups. If you don't follow us on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, go ahead and click, because you'll see loads more stuff, because as we're encountering problems with the boat, very often I'll put them on our Facebook page and say, hey, can anybody help us with this? So if you want to see more of that kind of up-to-date, on by the minute sort of action, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. And
also, if you don't know, we've got Patreon. Yeah,
we have got Patreon now. So again, we're not asking anybody to donate anything, and but for those of you that want to support us and want to contribute the cost of a cup of coffee, well, it's really appreciated. And so you can click on our Patreon account.
Coffee.
Yeah, and we've also got a coffee page. There's all those links are in the description, so go ahead and have a look at those if you want to. Certainly not asking for anything. And similarly, if anybody's got any big old self-tailing winches for a boat knocking about and you're thinking, oh, I was just going to chuck those or flog them, get in touch and let us know, because I would like to upgrade these where possible. But for those of you that are saying those winches are a load of rubbish and need to be thrown away, they're absolutely not. They're fine, they're solid, they'll do the job more than adequately, get us in the water, get us going, and they'll last a very long time yet. It would be nice to upgrade them, but we don't need to. There you go, there's how to strip down a Gibb 7 with the circlip on the top, the Lewmar style winches with the 2 brass clips, and the Enkes winch. Yeah, it's all back together. Thanks very much, guys. I would say, and on that bombshell, back to the studio.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, please remember to click the like button and leave us a comment. If you haven't subscribed, then click the subscribe button, and if you click the little bell, you'll get a notification of each new episode, which we release every Wednesday, by the way. Thanks so much to our patrons: Henrik Knudsen, Valmika Beneto, Eric Nermo, Robbo Ads G, Terry Hamilton, Dennis Small, Matthew Straub, John Bruce, William Chaplin, Michelle Maddox, Clifford Stein. Our coffee donations: Rob White, Brian Webster, and our friends and supporters: Robert Ralph, Chris and Abby, Kelvin Jones, Angie Martin, Pam Wall, Dudley Dix, Mike Osler, Timothy Morden, the lads at Holyhead Marina, Martin Garradine, Chris Richards, Mike and Patty Williams, Emily Turner, Stephen Turner, Trev Hedges. We are genuinely humbled that you contribute your love, support, time and actual money towards what we are doing. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you.